David, Carlos was just talking about how he thinks for a lot of the guys in that room, just breaking the streak was a bit of a relief. I know that they talked about keeping things consistent, but do you get the sense, being around them as much as you've been, that at some point it started to become a little psychological?
Sure. I think everyone's a human being in this, and you go on a streak like that, and it absolutely becomes psychological. And I think you want to get that win. And there were periods during that stretch where it was really hard to envision it. And so, yes, I think getting one out of the way helps. Still got to play good baseball going forward. But yes, I think whenever you're on a streak like that, to end it becomes important.
When you look at the bullpen as currently configured, how much longer do you think you can go with having that type of configuration with three long men, whether it's Peterson, Minaya, and if you want to include Tobias Myers in there as well, versus a more traditional setup?
I think it's worked so far. I think we've run into games and stretches where having that length out of the pen has become really helpful for us in various capacities. Don't know how long you can keep it going, but it's worked so far.
Tony?
Just more broadly on the bullpen, how would you evaluate where you guys are at, and what? I guess, just how would you evaluate where you guys are at in the bullpen, and what this is going to look like going forward?
Yeah, we've been inconsistent back there. Started off the season on a great run from the bullpen. I think everyone was throwing the ball really well for the first couple of weeks of the season. Even the first part of the rough stretch, the pen threw the ball pretty well. It was keeping us close in games when we weren't scoring a lot of runs. Clearly, the last part of the stretch, we gave up some runs out of the bullpen, and probably have a couple of guys who aren't throwing quite to their capabilities. It's also a really small sample. I think we've got some pretty good arms back there, and so I'm not overly concerned at this point, but certainly acknowledge over the last, say, week to 10 days, we've given up runs out of the pen.
And separately on Lindor, Mendy just mentioned that he'll be reimaged in 3 weeks.
Yeah.
What in your mind is the best case scenario for when he could theoretically be back?
I can't even answer that right now. I think we are not going to be able to provide really more substantive information for 3 weeks. I think we got to see where this is in 3 weeks, see how the healing goes, and then we'll be able to provide hopefully some more clarity. And my understanding is if all goes well, you can see a relatively quick progression there. But we'll see where we are in 3 weeks.
Tim?
I think last year you had said 45 games is when you kind of first start to think about what your team is.
Yeah.
Does a start like this, does that expedite that evaluation in any way?
I don't think so. I think we go into a season with an expectation of who we are as a team, understanding we're not going to perfectly nail who we are as a team. But it's really tough for me to take 2 weeks, even 2 weeks where we didn't win a baseball game, but take 2 weeks and say that's going to dramatically alter who we think we are. So I still think we're a good team. I recognize we had a stretch where we did not play good baseball, and it cost us, and cost us repeatedly. But I think we're a good team, and I think we will show that.
There's a good chance, I think, by Memorial Day that you'll have had Soto and Lindor in your lineup for a week all season. How does that complicate your view of what you are and what you can be?
Yeah, injuries are part of this, and injuries to good players are part of this. We're certainly not the only team in baseball that deals with this, and we've just got to get through it.
Howie?
David, two things, if I may. You obviously know Williams from Milwaukee. Do you see anything here that's different from what you've seen in the past with him?
Yeah, I think his changeup hasn't been exactly where he wants it yet, and probably hasn't been the level of consistency he's used to. He's gone through stretches like that previously in his career, and I'm pretty confident he'll get it back.
Given what he went through, particularly in the early part of last year with the Yankees, do you see a parallel path that he's on here, and is there anything beyond mechanics that enter into it that needs to be resolved?
There are some, from a results standpoint, there are some similarities. That is true. Tough for me to know exactly what the situation was with the Yankees last year, and so it's probably tough for me to compare or contrast and know whether what he's feeling here, what he's going through here, what he's trying to correct here, mirrors or not the early stages in the Bronx last year.
And one development question: as good a start as Ewing is off to, and he's still learning the outfield, I guess. But do you have a plan that would move him up at some point from AA to AAA, or do you just want to let him continue to succeed at AA for as long as possible?
I think we're always talking about our prospects and what's best for their development. Certainly, AJ's gotten off to a good start. No firm plans on that one, but once we think he's ready for AAA, we'll move him up.
Some guys, as you know, tend to come fast. Might he be one of them? Do you see anything that suggests that he's on the precocious side or ahead of schedule, or however you want to characterize it?
I think he's progressed fast to this point in his career, and I think he's demonstrated he can master levels pretty quickly. And so I wouldn't put anything past him. I also think, and you guys have heard me say this before, that players each progress at their own pace. It's really difficult to predict how a player is going to do at various stages of their development in the minor leagues. So he's done a great job. He's met every challenge so far, and we're going to continue to challenge him.
Laura?
What just gives you the confidence that Kodai Senga will be able to kind of turn around his early returns, and what are your options if he's not able to do that?
I think we've seen flashes from Kodai. We haven't seen the consistency, and so we're banking on the flashes and continuing to get into the rhythm of the season. But we need to see more consistency. There's no question we need to see more consistency.
And just the second part, I mean, what are your options if he's not able to?
Well, as either Steve or Anthony alluded to earlier, we've got a bunch of starters on our team right now. So I think we have sufficient depth if we choose to make changes.
Joe?
David, in the offseason, you said there was a priority on run prevention, and you look this far into the season here, you're top 10 in outs above average. How much are you paying attention to that? How happy are you with the progress this season compared to last so far?
I think we're a better defensive team than we were last year, no question. I think there are areas we can still get better, and we will work to get better there, and certainly areas on the diamond. But no, I'm happy with our defense. Run prevention as sort of the whole, pitching plus defense. We've had moments that have been really, really good, and we've had a couple of moments that haven't been so good. So, that sort of leads to the record that we're at right now. Is just inconsistent play in different parts of our team, but defensively specifically. I think we've been a better defensive team, and that's good to see.
Dan?
David, last year Williams had some more success when he was put in an eighth inning role for a time. Is that any consideration for you guys?
It's not something that Mandy and I have really talked about. I think we're focused on getting Devin right regardless of what inning he happens to be pitching in.
And during this rough stretch that you just kind of got out of, was there anything that gave you pause about the changes that you made to the roster, that it maybe wasn't happening the way you envisioned?
I think I just go back to that's a frustrating stretch, and we didn't play well. We're also not going to wholesale change our evaluation of our team over a 2-week stretch, and this is a long season. going through a 12-game losing streak is difficult, and it's not usual. There's a reason it doesn't happen very often. Even with that, I don't think it should change your overall evaluation of the team, especially this early in the season.
Andrew?
Over here. Just what stood out to you about the offense during that stretch that you can kind of try and fix based on, all the results that came with that?
I think Mendy's touched on this a lot as well. We just didn't square balls up very consistently. And again, you will go through stretches of seasons like that. We certainly have here over the last couple of years, where it just feels like it's a scratch and claw every night to score a couple runs. And there was a period during that losing streak where that's what it felt like for everyone. And I think the main culprit is during that stretch, we just weren't squaring balls up and driving baseballs. I don't anticipate that to continue, and I think we're beginning to see it turn a little bit.
Tony?
Given some of the rotation uncertainty, has there been any appetite or discussion of using Tobias Myers in that role?
We haven't considered it to this point. I'm not saying we won't, but we haven't considered it to this point. He's serving a pretty valuable role for us right now, and we can use him in a variety of different ways. He's pitching well. I think if we want to lengthen him out, we can do that. For now, I think we keep him where he's at.
Abby?
Going back to Senga for a minute, you have all these starters that you say insulate. If he does keep struggling and you aren't afraid to make changes, would one of those changes be putting him in the bullpen in one of those roles? I know you guys have been hesitant to do that in the past.
Yeah, I'm not even going to speculate on that at this point. I think right now our focus is let's get Kodai a little bit more consistent and get him to the point where we're confident giving him the ball every 5 days.
Tim?
How close is AJ Minter?
We're still on the same timeline. Early May, first week, 10 days of May, I think is somewhere in there realistic. That's roughly, I believe, where his rehab stint goes through. A couple of benchmarks we still got to clear. We got to clear 2 out of 3s. We got to clear back-to-backs. Sort of the dirty inning cleanup, those types of things. Make sure that he feels good, and then we'll get him back here and he can help us.
And what is your sense of Polanco's timeline at this point?
I'd call it week to week at this point rather than day to day. I think every day we get a little bit more information. He'll go through some more testing this weekend. My expectation would be Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday next week we'll be able to have a little bit more clarity. But the best we know right now is sort of week to week.
Jorge?
David, what do you make of the offensive struggles against high velocity, especially over that stretch? And can that be fixed? How can that be fixed?
I don't anticipate that being a ongoing issue. We have hitters who have hit velocity throughout their careers. I don't believe that all of them are going to struggle against velocity. What caused it? Gets back to, is there some psychological effect when you're not scoring runs and you're pressing a little bit and you're trying to do too much and you're geared up for a fastball and you can't quite get it, and that compounds upon itself? That's possible. Really tough for me to explain. Certainly guys are aware of it, and we have some pretty good fastball hitters, and I think they're going to hit fastballs.
Dan?
David, what are your expectations for Maurizio with Lindor out indefinitely here?
Yeah, he's going to get opportunity. I don't know that it's going to be every single day, but he's going to get opportunity there. He demonstrated to us both in spring training and AAA that he can play shortstop. That we're going to be confident in him at shortstop. I recognize last night was a rough showing, but we believe he can play shortstop, and we're going to give him a chance.
Jerry?
Kind of piggyback on that, with Lindor down, Polanco down, and Jared Young down, what's your level of concern about your infield depth at this level?
Yeah, we've been hit with position player injuries, even going back to camp with Mike Tauchman, Gray Kessinger. We've been hit with some position player injuries. the good news is none of them we believe at this point is super long term. It's not like we're losing guys for the year or for half a year. But our depth has certainly taken a hit, no question.
Howie?
David, back to Polanco for just a minute, given that he was in the process of learning a position at the major league level. Do you still envision him as being a significant part of the first base mix, or given these early issues that he's had, is he maybe more likely to see more time than you might have anticipated DHing?
We would like him to be part of the first base mix. I think our roster probably functions better if he can be part of the first base mix. We also have to see how his health is going. We want to get the bat into the lineup. If there are ways to do that by limiting time on his feet and focusing more on DH, we would do that. But hopefully we get him fully healthy so that he can be part of that first base mix.
Joe?
David, during that streak, there was a lot of talk about the approach at the plate, guys maybe swinging at pitches out of the zone. Do you see that as a function of guys pressing, just an overall philosophy at the plate, and then Soto returns, and it seems like that has changed? Or is there a Juan Soto effect here on this whole lineup with the way they go up there and take those at-bats?
That's tough for me to speak to. I do think Juan affects the lineup because everyone's aware of him, and that's their game planning around Juan Soto when he's in a lineup. In terms of our global approach at the plate, probably a couple things going on. The first is we do have some players who are going to expand the zone, and they have over the course of the year, and over the course of their careers, and some of them have been very successful doing that. And so us focusing too much on that with specific players may not have the desired result. Some players are pretty good being aggressive, and I think we have a couple of those players. And then, yes, I do think when you go through a stretch where we're struggling scoring runs, where we're in the middle of a losing streak, guys start doing too much, want to get a big hit, and can expand even more than normal.
Andrew?
Just in your eyes, what does Juan Soto's workload look like here over the next week or two?
There are going to be some off days. There will be some off days. We don't really know how many at this point, but he's not going to play every single game here for the next week, 10 days.
Tim?
Now that the streak's over, I'm just looking back. How low did it get for you? Did you hear from family, friends? Did you hear? I'm sure you insulate yourself from the fans, but did you hear the chatter? How low did it get there?
Yeah, yes, I heard from family and friends, and it's frustrating. It's no one likes to lose, and when you're losing every single day for 2 weeks, that's not a good feeling. We also know, and I also know where we are in the schedule, and I know how long this season is. And so we tried, and I tried to put as much as my energy in possible as being supportive, being positive. What can we do to get out of this, rather than focusing on maybe the glass half empty part of this.
Thank you very much, David.
Thanks.